Good afternoon and welcome to Muskegon Rotary. My name is Tim Arter and I have the pleasure of serving as your president this year. Today's program will be the future of Great Lakes shipping and the Port of Muskegon. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and a reflection provided by Darlene Collet. We will also do the four-way test at the end of the meeting. And we also will be having 3 members inducted into membership today. So we have a busy day. At this point, I'll turn it over to Darlene. Large room, Phil. Pledge. Sorry. Got a little ahead of myself already. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. No matter where you are in life, I found this reflection, anonymous writer, author, but I think it will, at one point in our life, it will hit you. At the end of life, what really matters is not what we bought, but what we built. Not what we got, but what we shared. Not our competence, but our character. And not our success, but our significance. Live a life that matters. Live a life of love.
Well, thank you very much. Just a quick comment. Today we'll be restarting a little bit earlier than normal to allow for the introduction of guests. We have a large number of guests today. And we're also having the inductions that I mentioned, and we want to accommodate today's program. So at this time, you can return to your seats and complete your lunch. Thank you. We have come over to this side of the room where the 2 stand-up banners are.
That's right.
You can start.
You guys get the guest, or you get the honor to be first.
All right.
So go ahead, middle blue mark.
Go ahead.
This is, my name is Tara Foreman. This is actually my first day at Rotary. And this is my guest, Mark Foreman. He is a internal medicine hospitalist at Trinity Hospital, and also the assistant director of the medical residency program.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Erickson, and I'd like to introduce 2 guests. First is my friend Harold Hans, former executive VP of the Meijer stores. The second is my colleague and good friend Jonathan Scouten, who also has submitted his application.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Ann Gorman, membership chair. And it is my pleasure to introduce somebody that you already know because she has been a member, but she is leaving us to take up a new position. Melissa Buffner is going to be the new president of the Hispanic Center of Western Michigan. So congratulate her on her new position.
Good afternoon. A couple of gentlemen that you will recognize. Dave Alexander, here, and my guests are Scott Musselman, CFO, and Max McKee, Chairman, Sand Products, Mart Dock.
Hi, Joni Smith here. I have as my guest today someone I've known for a long time, since she was little, Madeline Lombardo. She's the Chief Operating Officer at the the Muskegon Y, and she also runs Camp
Pendaluan.
Good afternoon. Actually, my guest should be introducing me. As soon as we walk in, he knows every single one of you in this place, and I lost him twice. He's all your friends on Facebook. He's all 600 of your friends' friends on Facebook, so you all know him, Greg Borgman.
Good afternoon. My name is Pam Babbitt, and I would like to introduce my friend for lots and lots of years, Paula Martin, and she is retired from Trinity Health, and she's turned in her membership application.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrea Rigler from SEH of Michigan, and I have with me today Senator John Bumstead, our state senator, who is visiting us to learn more about the Lakeshore. He's really interested in this project along the Lakeshore, but also we're going to get him back here to give a presentation about something. We don't know yet what.
Good afternoon, Brandon Turnbull. I have with me Cody Gerken, Grand Rapids native, MSU grad. Cody's been spending the last 5 years working as a project management consultant for the Food Bank of New York City. Please welcome him.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alex Fonseca, and my guest today is Trevor Hopkins. He's the owner of Beacon Home Inspections and new business here in town, young entrepreneur. So welcome him. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel Gorman. I am the president of your Muskegon Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. And today I have 3 guests who I have the pleasure and honor of serving alongside his colleagues to the City of Muskegon. And they are Destiny Keener, who is a Ward 1 Commissioner in the City of Muskegon, Mr. Jay Kilgo, who is, Destiny serves Ward 3, geez. Jay Kilgo, who serves Ward 1, and our City Manager, Jonathan Seifert.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emma Peterson, and I have my guest today, Michelle Gravlin. And Michelle has already put in her application for membership. Michelle is our Community Health and Wellbeing Director for Trinity Health, the health project, which many of you know, serving the Lakeshore.
Good afternoon, Melissa Horton, and my guest today is Ryan Hoekstra, and he is the CEO of Harbor Terrace Senior Living, and he is going to be our presenter on February 6th with a tour afterwards. So please welcome him, and we'll be welcoming him back.
Hello, fellow Rotarians, DJ Hilson. I have along with me one of 3 pride and joys of our family, my oldest son, Trevor Hilson, who's home on break. He is a junior at Marquette University. Thank you. And in the College of Communications, Journalism, Sports Broadcasting.
My name's David Medendorp, and I have with me David Ruck today. He owns Great Lakes Outreach Media, and he is one of the most interesting guys you could talk to because he knows a lot about everything and stuff that you don't know about. So, anyways, David Ruck.
Here, scoot on over.
Good afternoon, Rotary. All right, are we all in frame? That's perfect. Hey, we look pretty good on bookends here. Hey, guess what? We've got students back. Please give me a loud welcome for the North Muskegon Norsemen. To introduce 2 of the seniors is Jen Schultz. She is the principal at the high school and the middle school.
Thank you. Anytime we get in a room of community leaders, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for leading. Our kids are watching, and it's really cool to see the work that you guys do. These two student leaders, I couldn't be more proud, have overcome a ton of obstacles, and our seniors and just thrive academically and as our student leaders. So I'm going to let them tell a little bit about themselves. Avery Lynn and Tate Panucci. So here's Avery.
I'm Avery Lynn, and I'm a senior at North Muskegon High School. And my plans after school is to go to the medical field. I'm not sure what college yet, but something in the medical field. My hobbies are to hang with friends and family, and then watch Philly sports. Go Birds!
I'm Tate Panucci. I'm a senior at North Muskegon High School also. I play football and golf, and I look to pursue a business major at maybe Kalamazoo College, and I'm going to play football also. So, thank you.
What a great group today. At this time, I am going to call forward Dave Alexander to introduce today's program.
Thanks, Tim. Happy New Year to all. This program is our first look at a topic that will develop through 2025 and well beyond. The anticipated transformation of Muskegon Lake's waterfront from Heritage Landing to Verplank property, as we know, the former BC Cobb plant, is the most significant development initiative I have seen in my 40 years of covering and promoting this community. We want you as Rotarians to be informed as community leaders and influencers. This is the sand product Mart Dock portion of the story. The program committee will schedule other programs on this topic as it develops. Chuck Cainstrate is our speaker today. He's the president and general manager of the parent company Sand Products Corporation and its subsidiary Port City Marine. He has spent the last 25 years in material mining, marine transportation, and port terminal operations throughout the Great Lakes. As an operating manager with a civil and environmental engineering skill set, he's aided Sand Products Corporation in its centuries-long legacy of smart, sustainable business in maritime and material logistics. With ample working relations in neighboring Great Lakes states, and as an active member of the American Waterway Operators, Lake Carriers Association, West Michigan Port Operators, Chuck has a passionate and perspective on the importance of the Muskegon's port and its economic connections to our community. Chuck will present here now for 30 minutes. There will be no Q&A. After the meeting, however, Chuck, Max, and Scott will be available up front here to have informal conversation and questions. Chuck, you know how to fill a room.
Well, thank you, Dave, and thank you all for coming on this cold Michigan, what are we on, a Thursday here. It's nice to see you, faces I've seen for those 25 years. I haven't seen in some time. It was nice to say hi to you. So what we'll do here is we'll get right to you as the focus and not me, okay? So I've had the luxury to work half of my life and a quarter of our company's legacy in an operating position for Sand Products Corporation. And we are a lakes-wide operator of terminals and marine assets on the Great Lakes. It gives us a pretty interesting perspective. But most of our roots are here. They're tied into the Port of Muskegon, and a lot of the people you'll get to know or have known in our company have worked the lakes and have worked around the Great Lakes. I also had the luxury of doing a grassroots build for Sand Products. We built a turnkey marine operation in my career, and I'm a guy that talks about pictures. It makes it easy for me to share a story. And the reason I want to talk to you about Great Lakes shipping just a bit before we get to the matter at hand is to give you a perspective of the scale of what exists outside of Muskegon Lake and throughout the Great Lakes. So On land and in this community and in the region around it, I have the role of director of West Michigan Port Operators. Okay, and West Michigan Port Operators is a partnership between our Port City Marine, our century-old West Michigan Dock and Market Corporation, known as the Mart Dock next door, and the Verplank Dock Company, who also, as a legacy or a century legacy company, has operated terminals in West Michigan. And if you haven't been on the highway and looked over and seen a red truck as you pass them, because they shouldn't pass you, then you probably aren't paying attention. So what does a guy like me do first thing in the morning at 5 a.m. when I check in on marine operations and the Great Lake in general? I, like a traffic controller, this happens to be water and not land, I look for some little blue triangles, okay? And I happen to spot a boat, and I start to get a feel for how operations are going for the day. And then I find myself with the first cup of coffee peeling back and looking at our Great Lakes and those triangles. And if you look at all the little green ones and the blue ones on there, those represent individual ships that happen at any time to be floating around the Great Lakes to or from a port. And you can see the traffic across Lake Superior there, which are the ore boats, and you can see the seaway. And then you start to back out and you start seeing our rivers form down south of Chicago and south of Ohio and see all that. But suddenly the Atlantic draws your attention and you start focusing on our Pacific and our Atlantic. And you start counting boats not in the tens and dozens, you start counting them in the 10,000s, okay? And when you really step back and look at that globe and look at the traffic and realize that 60% of the world's goods float by water, it's jaw-dropping. Okay, but what that causes me to do is quickly get back to my focus of the day and think about our Great Lakes Basin. And it's a really interesting basin because it's one of the world's underappreciated diamonds. The basin lines you see around that define our Great Lakes, that's a line. In a water basin, anyone here that studies the flow of waters and whatnot, that's the line that collects our water and deposits it to the Great Lakes. And that's what keeps 20% of the world's fresh water accumulating in this lake system. It happens to have a geological structure that treats it almost like a bowl, right? And I think we all know that the only way out of the Great Lakes in the 2,000 miles that it takes to get out to the Atlantic Ocean, well, there's really two ways out. There's an engineered system, which is a set of lock and dams that take you out the seaway, or you can go over in a barrel over Niagara Falls, right? So it's important that we understand the scale of this, and though I love the Great Lakes, when I talk to people outside of the Great Lakes, even on a global basis, it's considered a pond system. And they stand in awe of the fresh water, and they take a look at the lakes, and it's hard for them to grasp how it is that we don't have deeper and more developed maritime systems and maritime operations on our lake system. So these are just anchors. You know the MIT. We enjoy all the linear miles of shoreline and whatnot. And this happened to be a representation from a group out of Vancouver. I was so happy to see Muskegon there with an anchor on it, because not everyone knows Muskegon on the lakes. But you see the majors that are around there. And one thing I can assure you of is that Muskegon is well thought of in international shipping basis. It is a port they will visit. It's a port that's safe, and it's a port that has the kind of investment and facilities that they need to sail in. We won't spend a lot of time looking at our lake, but we've all seen it from different perspectives and whatnot. What a unique system, okay? So a system of recreation like no other, a system of boating and updated housing and a chance to be near the precious waters of the Great Lake, but a system that has given so much back to industry and back to efforts. You know, when it was the heyday, we know that the lumber era defined Muskegon Lake, right? They filled the south shoreline with wharfs, they cut up lumber, and they, at that time, utilized Muskegon Lake as the lumber capital of the America at that point, but all of that pressure came on our system here on Muskegon Lake. Then we moved on to an industrial era, and the reason I gave it its own attention here is because that arsenal of democracy was an important thing, and the Depression was an important thing, and Muskegon played big roles during those eras, right? So This is how Muskegon was seen from an air shot back then, so impactful, so supportive of the efforts that kept nations liberated and whatnot because of all the good natural commodities and access to transportation. Push the bottom button, Chuck. Okay, I hear you, Mike. Okay, so let's just fast forward because this isn't the focus for today, but let's think about how far things have come in that 50 to 75 years when Muskegon was an industrial mecca and what's happened. And let's pay credit and give thanks to those people who have dedicated their careers to turning it back to, it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing, right? Remember when they were in the storm and whatnot and she landed and all of a sudden things start greening up a little bit. And we see our downtown from a fresh and new perspective, and we give thanks to Kathy Evans and the Muskegon Lake Watershed Group and West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development and their pursuit of changing the stigma of Muskegon, all while us port operators and us maritime operators continued to do what we were doing. And in fact, if we do what we're doing well, you have to come here to hear about it. We don't want you to hear about it in ways that aren't positive and affirmative of the things we can do in industry. So we've started to use our lake in the last few decades for a much broader range of purposes, all positive, all related to public access and quality of life in Muskegon as we take away the bad and we come in with the good through these restorative efforts. And that is one of our primary focuses and debates in our business is how do we make sure that we, after our century and involvement in the community, are focused on making sure that we aid in this continued flow towards the ultimate livable Muskegon. One of the best things that happened, we'll leave the power issue out of it and the cost of power out of it, but we'll talk about for Muskegon Lake, one of the best things that happened on the east end of that lake is that the power plant was cleared and Muskegon decided to rid itself of a black coal import, and that BC Cobb plant was demolished and restored as a materials dock. And frankly, the amount of materials that come through this port, we should be thankful to West Michigan port operators and West Michigan Dock and Verplank for upholding the tonnage input because of the important investment that our federal regulators make based on how many tons that come into our port, which we'll touch on in a second. So we've essentially mastered the self-unloading construction material, bulk freighter, road salt part of our port. But that's just one part of a working port, an important working port in keeping those building materials efficient, those road building materials very efficiently priced. Muskegon Lake has turned itself into a multifaceted marine port, right? We have the Lake Express that takes our people and our vehicles back and forth and creates new connection opportunities to faces that might otherwise never see Muskegon. We have cruise ships, and I think I see Bob in here somewhere. I'm not sure if Cindy's in town, but anyways, thanks to them for their advocacy all the way to Capitol Hill in talking about Muskegon and talking to those big cruise companies about how to connect Muskegon to that frankly very young and growing industry. We have the ability through small businesses of ours to see Muskegon Lake from the lake for those who don't have an opportunity to see how that perspective is, because it's mighty different. If you've never approached Muskegon from Lake Michigan and approached your shoreline, it's a marvel. So I hope everyone has a chance to see it someday, or their shorelines of Muskegon. We have Ashton Marine here, Phil Andrea and his son Seth with investment in maritime operations out there operating. We in Muskegon have Andry, the competitor of Port City Marine, but together with Andry, out of Muskegon, headquartered, we move all of the cement powder, the domestic cement powder on the Great Lakes. It's over 3.5 million tons of Portland cement from companies that operate out of Muskegon right here. Maybe you didn't know that because we haven't been here to speak to you about things like that. I mentioned our Port City Marine, of course, of which we're proud, and we could go into topic after topic about how I'd love the youth of our community to pick amongst the list of things that they can do to think about what it is like to sail for a company like ours on the Great Lakes. So what I am saddled with when I think about how to keep Muskegon's working port and Ferrysburg and Holland, frankly, because the focus of West Michigan port operators is regional in that respect. I look back and I think about what I need to say to the Max I report to and then the Max he used to report to, the founder of SAM Products. And I think he was committed to keeping Muskegon connected in his thoughts to transportation and financial opportunity for this community. And I think about the connectivity it used to have when it was an industry mecca, and the fact that they built rail ferries and whatnot that were necessary to connect the massive industry. And then I think big, and I look up and I look at my computer and I think, how big should I think? Okay, so this is just I always put this in here just to kind of break the ice on the boredom of talking about Great Lakes shipping, but this was big. This was in '53 before the Seaway existed, okay? This is a 630-foot ship that was built without its structure on top, and it was taken up the Mississippi River and taken through Chicago. So you're seeing there the Dearborn, State, and Wabash Street bridges up, which you could not do today, right? And the reason for that is there was a desperate need for ore boats in the Great Lakes, and that's how big they thought. So you've seen that vision before, and that's what it looks like now. So ports change, communities change. That boat ran until 2013, some 60 years after that project. So starting to narrow in on Muskegon and focusing on Muskegon, and most importantly, thinking about how we see the next 30 to 50 years of port activity in Muskegon, we look at these orange spots. Okay, so we turned from an anchor to an orange spot. The orange spot we have is a 1 to 8 million ton spot. This port brings in roughly 1.5 million tons a year of materials. And the business that's derived from that is about $50 million. And this is per the Corps of Engineers publicly accessible numbers, because they petition us for information and we share information back. But the most important thing is it drives about $16 million in directly connected jobs, and that's labor receipts for that in that business, over 230 directly related jobs to that. But that $50 million worth of business then goes and gets mixed in $700 million worth of business. That's where those commodities go. And it fosters another 4,000 jobs that connect to $250 million worth of labor receipts, right? So as I look at it, that is the most important facet of what I do, is to try to connect maritime and port activities to family-sustaining homes and jobs and communities, because that's what all of these orange spots are trying to do. I then look at the rail system, and I look at Muskegon, and if you notice it, hopefully you can see the colorimetric difference in it. We divided our country in two pieces. We have a kind of an east and a west coast main rail system. Muskegon has tremendous opportunity to connect to all of those Class I rails, but only through a maritime link, because it only has its short line railroad in town here, which admittedly connects to one, but not directly to all. I look at the maritime transportation lanes. I mean, look around. We have ample connection throughout our entire country with maritime lanes. Interesting that the train and rail lanes are similar. Remember, when you have more than one choice, you generally have some competition and you have some efficiency that you can offer back to your customer base in transportation. So let's keep in mind, that's all we are as a port. We're a transporter and a handler of goods, and therefore a participant in the economy. But this is the big story. The Great Lakes region, right? What is the growth industry of the Great Lakes region? Well, it's So the surrounding states, and then of course the provinces that also surround it in Canada. And yes, we always drop in that it's 20% of the world's fresh water, and what an important topic that is for another day. But that's the number that strikes me when I look at it. So this is the Great Lakes region, 107 million people with a GDP of $6 trillion and 51 million jobs. Okay, so that's like flying at 60,000 feet and looking down. You think of the big number and you try to dial yourself back towards what we do here in our lake and in our city and county and region around us. The stat at the bottom is jaw-dropping. There's all kind of ways to draw borders, right? We know about drawing borders around things, but the fact of the matter is that region that I showed you in Canada and the surrounding states would be the third largest economy in the world if you drew it this way. So I turn to our agricultural friends, of which if you go very close to outside of this town, you run into, right? It's almost every small urban center in Michigan and throughout the Midwest. It doesn't take very long to start seeing cornfields and bean fields, but here in Michigan, it's much more than that. It's more than $10 billion worth of agricultural goods traded to Canada, traded to Japan, traded to Mexico. And through our conversations with those folks, we, over the last decade, have begun to learn how important very small increments to the cost structure.
If you're not using them, that's the thing to do. Yeah.
Their farms and sustaining
Good thing
their
to do
families.
for 2025.
We're in Michigan, 44,000 farms. Learned that recently. I didn't realize the number was that big, but 44,000 independent farms. So we think of our agricultural friends because they are important in this, and we also think of modern ways to connect them to the waterways and to connect them to Class 1 rail and to simply trade goods across the lake. It's a concept of big thinking. This is a vessel that can overcome rules and regulation and connect the Mississippi to Muskegon, the Port of Muskegon here. The biggest topic in the room in these conversations, and as I travel around and talk to others, is the move towards compartmentalized or containerized goods. Okay, so there's all kind of reasons that people move towards containerization, keeping in mind all those green and blue triangles you saw at the beginning. Most of the world moves in containerized goods now. It's the method that things are moved. When you look at those boxes, you could have anything in them from Apple phones. They probably fly those, but so you could have anything in them from something high value to something extremely low value. Maybe it's scrap or plastic or whatnot. But the important thing is the Mississippi River and many of our ports have met capacities and or are investing in new capacities to start trading in this fashion. The biggest for Michigan, however, is identity protected goods. So if you think about it, the model of agriculture is to dump your product in a massive pile of other product, and it flows into an even bigger Pamax vessel and gets deposited in, you don't know which of your beans are amongst those billions of beans in there. Many countries are beginning to be very sensitive to things like not only GMO, but microplastics and other farming techniques that they want to know where it came from, they want it sealed, and they want it delivered there in a container. So we've investigated and been spending a decade on concepts on how it is that Muskegon, from a very elemental startup in participating in containerization, could come and go and feed into larger efforts down in the Port of Indiana and over in Milwaukee and Cleveland into this trade. And keeping in mind, we can use the Seaway and the Mississippi to do that. So this concept's important, and it's being practiced on I-95 on the East Coast. And the group that talked to this before, maybe it was 5 to 10 years ago, they're on the right path. 20 years ago, we wrote a report on this Cross Lake ferry and feeder line system. But recently, we had the opportunity to talk about the food processing industry and whatnot as Cobb Dock was removed and whatnot. Scale is important, and understanding the economics of the maritime will be just as important to accomplish this. This is a very real sector that the Port of Muskegon currently does not have as part of its business. And these are concepts of where things go in the future to keep it efficient. But why we're here, and I think why we all came together today, is there's been a decades-long conversation on where do we take terminal operations with the changeover of the Cobb dock and the lake and whatnot from the MART dock or elsewhere, because it's an important decision for us as to where these efforts go. So there are concept drawings that I'm going to show and just tell you that for some time these have been very responsible conversations. We thank our city and our county and others for participating in them, and we think it's being handled the right way. Rooms like this, in public forums, in meetings in front of the city commission and whatnot, our interests are very simple. And we've called in a wider lakefront planning group, as Dave said, from Heritage Landing all the way over to the CMS parcel, to delve into a master planning on the lakefront of sorts, so that two things can be accomplished. We can keep the momentum and effort and the change that's gone on with Muskegon to connect itself to its lake and enhance the quality of life and access for all to Muskegon Lake. And most importantly, take that east end of the lake and turn it into something that has even more special natural feature to it once restored. The concepts flip to something that, of course, looks pretty. It's a stock photo that came from those folks that were working in the development of these plans. But the idea would be that historical filled property that's at the mouth of the river right there would provide some new and enhanced public access while we did our port activities on what is the current campground at Fisherman's Landing. A topic I think I've dealt with for 20 of my 25 years is the thought that somewhat private campground used for access now to the public would be a working port terminal, as would part of the CMS terminal. And by the way, for anyone who quickly says, well, that's a fishing launch mecca, the fishing would not change. The ramps would be left in place so that tournaments and all the good things that have happened there on a fishing basis continue to happen. So the other crux of it was, how do we take this perspective from 3rd Street up just prior to the roundabout, staring down at the lake, and I'll go back out with it, just to appreciate the elevation up over the lake and imagine what that could look like when you take that big intersection and redesign it. So the intersection that exists now to Muskegon Lake as you come down the hill is represented by that figure right there. And it's an important start to a high quality connection that changes the marriage of Muskegon with its lakefront and its public access. And some of the concepts we came up with, and many who have had to listen to me before have started to see these concepts. They've circulated in sets that have gone out. I believe even maybe the media has sent them out. But we tried to think about public engagement and perimeter use and a welcoming environment for everyone in Muskegon. And then we look at the wider potential terminal and imagine no terminaling in certain sectors of the property and welcoming a cruise ship or probably most importantly, if I could blow it up, I would. I'm going to step away from the mic to point to it. A public assembly area in the historic auditorium that has been on the MART dock since its inception, almost a historical tribute to maritime and the last 100 years. So in stopping at the concept that I've shared with you here, and realizing that it's a concept and there's many steps to be taken and many people that have to be engaged in talking to or have to be engaged so that we can listen to them and understand their perspectives. I can say on behalf of Sand Products and its wholly owned companies and the West Michigan port operators that it's our goal to make sure that we do fulfill, I believe it's the Rotary test, right? Is it is it true? Is this good for everyone? Is this fair for everyone? And in the end, will it create the kind of growth that's important to Muskegon? So as an industrial operator base, I focus on that quality of life more so in the home in Muskegon than on the shoreline. The shoreline is grand and the beach visits are wonderful and beautiful. Jobs that create sustainable homes that have the ability to then pay attention to those in the home and offer opportunity for them to take their next steps in life. That's the ultimate growth, right? That's the ultimate economic story. It's the ultimate economic success for a community. So Sand Products has a vision longer than I'll participate in it, longer than Max McKee will participate in it. And we've been here and want to stay. We want to stay in a way that serves that mission to broaden out opportunity for everyone in Muskegon. So that's how Great Lakes Shipping ties to it, and that's why I drone the ears of my partners in Sand Products to stay committed to those economic factors that are so important to our port. And I thank you for letting me work for a company in Muskegon for 25 years from outside. It's been a unique perspective, and it's been nice to get to know the folks I have, and I hope to know more of you. And it's also good to see some young faces. I used to consider myself the youngest guy in the room, and finally I'm not that. So that's what I had for you today. And it's good to see some officials. I see Senator Bumstead is here. Thank you, sir, for being here today. A lot of our city officials, Matt and Mark from the county are here as well. So I know you always come to this. You didn't come here just because I'm here. And special thanks to Rotary and Dave. I've known Dave for 25 years. I think he used to report on all the schemes I used to try to come up with in business and whatnot. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You can see why I would say he was always one of my brightest sources. Great job. Thank you, Chuck, and to the Sand Products team. On the screen, can we get that slide? It's also on your tables is a Connect Muskegon link to the waterfront planning process. Please go to it, use it continually as new items as will go up to there. It'll also show you that there's 3 engagements, January 22nd, February 4, and Feb 17. This process will continue. The program committee will invite the city back to provide an update as to where we're at on this whole waterfront project after the 3 engagements, and I would hope that you would all be there and supporting that. Chuck and the Sand Products team will be here after the meeting, up here to answer any questions and have conversation. Thank you all.
Okay, great program. Now we turn to the birthdays, and let's see. Yes. Okay. And so, as you can see, I'm not going to go through all of the individual dates, but we have birthdays coming up with some of our members: Megan Byard-Caraba, Rob Cook, Josh Silvas, John Selman, Mark Eisenbarth, America Dobry, Susan Cloutier Cranes, Don Calise, and there's one name missing here. It is Kim Boersma's birthday on Saturday. So with that, we have the opportunity to sing happy birthday to all the people in the room that have birthdays or upcoming birthdays. So if we could start with happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. A quick reminder that we ask for those who have had birthdays in the recent past or this coming week to make a contribution to our Caring Connection program, which we're going to be talking about in a second. You can do that. There's a QR code on some materials up here, or I think it's often in the rim. We also have some envelopes for you to use to make $10 contributions. But with that, we're going to next turn to our spotlight video for our Rotarians in Action, and we're going to speak. Tom Palmer is going to give you some insights as to how the Caring Connection contributions are being used.
I'm Tom Palmer, and I am here as the head of the Engagement and Retention Committee, and part of that is the Caring Connections. And we're going to talk about Caring Connections today. Well, for Caring Connections, we want to make sure every member of our Rotary Club feels like we're just there for them, and when things go bad, but also when things go good. So typically, we just want to make sure everyone understands we have a club that's more than just helping others. We want a sense of connection and a sense of belonging for all our members. So if someone has a death in the family or some other setback, we try and reach out to them, either send them a card or sometimes a memoriam or flowers. Also, we have a underutilized part that will, a Rotarian that's ill, that we have volunteers that will go and visit them actually. So that's really a nice thing. We become aware of a need through our membership. We all need to be looking out for each other. If you hear about a death in the family or someone getting a job promotion or anything that we can celebrate or offer help with, report that to one of the members. Our current Caring Connections Committee is made up of Lisa Tyler, Adam Bell is leading it, Stacy Kennedy, Doug Wood, Cindy Maynard, and Rachel Gorman. If we hear a member has a problem, has difficulty, especially it's a death of a family, especially death of a spouse or child, then the Caring Connections one of the members will write a card of condolences. And also if it's a Rotarian or the spouse or a child of a Rotarian, then we'll actually send flowers or a memorial in that person's name.
Well, thank you. Hopefully that gives you an idea as to where those funds go. At this time, we now move into our new member inductions. At this time, would the following individuals come forward? Tara Foreman and her sponsor, Sarah Rinsma Sibinga, Gary Hall and his sponsor, Jeremy Garcia, and Trudy Ender and her sponsor, Pete DeBoer. If you come to the front, please. Sarah, Jeremy, and Pete, would you please provide us with some introductions to our new members?
All right, so I get to introduce a very good friend of mine, Tara Foreman. Tara grew up in Grand Rapids as the oldest of 4 daughters. She attended Calvin Christian High School and Hope College, where she earned a bachelor's in special education. Hope is also where she met her husband of 22 years, Mark Foreman, who is also with us. When they graduated, Tara and Mark were married and they moved to Pasadena, California for seminary and medical school. Tara graduated from Fuller Seminary in 2007. I don't think they have a mascot. With the Master of Divinity. While in seminary, Tara interned for 3 years at a primarily African-American church with a heart for racial justice and multicultural ministry. In Pasadena, Tara was also introduced to the concept of Christian community development, which has found its way into her life ever since. In 2007, Tara and Mark moved to Cincinnati for Mark's medical residency. They lived a couple of blocks from a church called University Christian Church, where Tara worked part-time as a small group pastor. She was also trained in faith-based community organizing and was involved in advocating for immigration reform, as well as a successful campaign to ban the box asking for convicted felonies on job applications citywide. In 2011, they moved to Muskegon. Mark took a job at Mercy Hospital as a hospitalist physician. And after having a baby boy in each of their previous cities, they decided to continue the streak and welcome their third son a year after moving to Muskegon. In the first parts of parenting, Tara interned part-time in chaplaincy at the hospital and was also mentored in preaching by the former pastor of Bethany Church, David Siplinga. She also joined the board of Community Encompass in 2012 and continues to serve as the board chair of Community Encompass as it wraps up its closing. She is incredibly proud of the seeds planted in development and the legacy to the Muskegon community, including programs such as McLaughlin Grows Urban Farm, which is now supported by Trinity Health, Sacred Suds, which is now a ministry of Kojic Community Center, and Affordable Housing, which is going to be under ICCF, which is a nonprofit development organization out of Grand Rapids. Since 2018, Tara has served full-time as the lead pastor at Bethany Church, whose call is to be a faithful presence of Christ in Core City, Muskegon. She enjoys the quirky misfits who call Bethany their family, and the joys and challenges of ministry in the Core City neighborhoods. Becoming a lead pastor just before COVID taught her that, as in life, ministry is full of the unexpected. The unexpected adventure continues as she proudly witnesses Bethany Church's courage in the face of denominational opposition to full participation for all who want to join in following Jesus, particularly those who identify as LGBTQ. Mark, Tara, and the 3 boys and 2 dogs call Nelson Neighborhood home. 2 of their boys attend Western Michigan Christian, and their oldest is a high school senior at Lake Michigan Academy in Grand Rapids, which is a school for kids with neuro differences. Soon they will have 3 teenagers in the house, and life is full of carpooling, soccer, video games, musicals, friends, girlfriends, and just general mayhem in the midst of mayhem. In the midst of that, she enjoys photography, a good book, coffee dates with friends, yoga, Peloton rides, or weightlifting whenever it can be squeezed in. She's super excited to be part of Rotary and actually has already signed up to go to Honduras with our Rotary trip in February. So is already feet dived in, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. All in.
Good afternoon. I've had the privilege of knowing Gary for about 8 years now. And so over the past few decades, I've gotten to know him on a personal level and professional level. And about Gary, over the past couple of decades, or the past 2 decades of investing in property management experience, he is passionate about real estate investing. Currently serving as the president of the MARA, which is the Muskegon Area Rental Association, and the treasurer of the RPOA, which is the Rental Properties Owner Association based out of Grand Rapids. Gary is also a real estate broker, the general manager of West Shore Property Management, and the owner of Dean Arrow, a private equity firm that is managing several real estate funds. His mission is to help as many people as possible build and preserve wealth. When he's not talking your ear off about investing, you will find him spending time with his wife, his 3 daughters, mentoring at Mona Shores Middle School's robotics team, and gaming with friends, or rolling around in the local jiu-jitsu mats.
Hey, everybody. Happy to introduce you to Trudy Ender, of those who have not met her yet. As Mike's adjusting the camera, twins, right? Trudy's first career out of college at CMU was working as a legal secretary for Michigan Protection and Advocacy, where they focused on disability rights. Thus began her passion for people and advocacy, serving others to impact more fair and equitable changes in communities while serving people one-on-one right where they are. I don't think I mentioned, Trudy is with Women's Resource Center. We'll get to that, but a little preview. Over the course of my career, her career, not mine, she wrote it in first person, I'll switch it, which was 13 years serving 3 West Michigan nonprofits, Susan G. Komen Refugee Education Center and Humane Society of West Michigan, 12 years in government service and human resources, community outreach, and for-profit businesses. Did it again. Her passion for serving others has never been greater. I am humbled and grateful for all these opportunities to learn and grow. To say that she is excited to serve Women's Resource Center, their participants and community is an understatement. The heart of Women's Resource Center lies in the resilience and strength of the women they serve. As a firm believer in Roma Gupta Sinha's empowered women empower women, she experiences firsthand the positive ripple of our mission, that is workforce development for women impacting their families and the community. Just as other women and people have walked alongside of her, she gets the special opportunity to do the same. Every woman deserves to be empowered and supported to improve their economic status for financial independence. Most of their participants face a myriad of challenges: gender inequity, racism, limited access to education, healthcare and sanitation, transportation, housing, affordable daycare, family caretaking, costs and burdens of pregnancy, inadequate social safety nets, low-paying work, and violence. It's powerful. Support, resources, economic independence, and empowerment are basic rights for women and all, and WRC is an important community source for all these barriers. Personally, Trudy is the mom of Ben, who is 24, and Ruby, who is 21, both living in Marquette, Michigan. Our partner, Jeff, and her have known each other for 15 years and have been in a committed relationship for 5 years, and she is so grateful for that. Families have combined, so I get to be Grandma Trudy to Jeff's grandson, which is an absolute delight. She's a dog mom of Deja, who is 13, and a cat mom of Luna, who is 4. She loves meeting people, an adventure. We all have so much more in common than we don't. An outdoor person enjoying all things water, exercising, and going on adventures. She's also an artistic soul, enjoying drawing and painting and journaling. And just a PS on the end of this, when I had Trudy as a guest in the fall, my God, she was so excited to be here with everybody. She was the most enthusiastic Rotary guest I've ever seen in my life. And everything was popping for her. So everybody, welcome Trudy.
Well, thank you. Fellow Rotarians and guests, on behalf of Muskegon Rotary Club, it is my privilege to induct these individuals today. Tara, Gary, and Trudy, you have been chosen for membership in Muskegon Rotary Club as a person of goodwill, high ethical standards, heart for service, and ideals of Rotary. Fellowship and friendship are the aims and rewards of Muskegon Rotary membership. You will enjoy a network of leaders and professionals who are committed to welcoming and mentoring you. We are admitting you into Muskegon Rotary Club and to the Fellowship of Rotary worldwide. Membership is an honor and a privilege with corresponding obligations. Your regular attendance will nurture your understanding and commitment to our principal motto, service above self. Every member is expected to perform his or her share of club service, community service, participation in fundraisers to support our charitable beneficiaries, and the ideal of friendship and networking. You will, as you expect to receive, so must you also give. If you accept these obligations, please say, I do. They all said, I do. Lastly, I have a challenge for you. Share the gift of membership in Rotary. Invite another person with your same qualities and character to join Muskegon Rotary in the next 6 months. Do you accept this challenge? Thank you. Tara, Gary, and Trudy, in the name of the Rotary Club of Muskegon, I hereby formally admit you to membership in this club. I now provide you with your pen, a 4-way test, and a directory. I'm going to pass these down the line here. And the pen is coming to you, the last item that you will be receiving. Thank you. Rotary members and guests, will you please rise and welcome the newest Rotarians in the world, Tara, Gary, and Trudy. Thank you. And now for announcements, I am expecting Nancy McCarthy to come forward. Is she here? Okay, while she's coming forward, I wanted to make a few announcements. For those of you who may not be aware of, a few weeks ago, Nate McClure, former president of Muskegon Rotary Club, and passed away. So my understanding is there's information in his obituary, if you do a Google search for that, which provides for a Zoom service that people who are from this area and would like to participate in that, you certainly can do that. Nancy, you want to come forward?
Hi, everybody. I would like to invite all of you to an opportunity that will be coming up in March 21st. There's going to be a Braver Angels workshop. It's called Bridging the Political Divide, Braver Angels Red Blue Workshop, brought to you by our club's Peace Builder Committee. Many of you did attend the first Braver Angels workshop, I think last February, which was really kind of an introduction to the art of maintaining civil discourse during turbulent times. And I think we can all admit that there have been some turbulent times. So the next workshop is actually to help conservatives and liberals begin rebuilding trust and engaging in productive conversation. It brings together 6 to 8 red and 6 to 8 blue participants in structured and moderated discussions, which focus on reducing stereotyped thinking, clarifying disagreements, listening and learning rather than declaring and debating, and building the relationships needed to find common ground. In addition, other people can join as observers. You won't be part of the discussion, but certainly you can be there to listen, learn, and reflect. So we're going to be asking you to sign up, if you would, to participate. You'll be able to do that in the coming weeks, either online or by contacting a member of the Peace Builders Committee. Again, that's March 21st from 9 to noon. It's a Friday, I believe. So look at your calendars and be able to admit to your ideologies and sign up.
Next, we have an announcement. We don't normally have these. Melissa, you want to come forward and talk about it?
Is this yours? Does this belong to somebody you know? Would you like it? This was left at the last family event, the social event at the museum in November, and I've had nobody come to claim it, but we do know it was a Rotarian or a guest of a Rotarian. So I would really like to get it back to whoever it belongs to. So. Okay, so I have it. It's in my office. I'm trying to give it back. So please help me find the owner. Thank you.
Yeah. I did try to get her to model it, but it didn't work. Let's see, we will be back at the Delta next week. There will be no Rewind meeting tonight. The next Rewind meeting will be next Thursday, their first meeting of 2025, January 16th. Again, just a reminder on that, the meetings are at 5:15 at the Unruly Brewing. Please support the Rewind Pop Can Drive for the benefit of the El Salvador and Honduras trips. You can bring cans to the club meetings today if you brought them along with you, or next week. You can also get in contact with John Noling or Esther Rico to arrange for pickups. I believe that we will also have some type of an announcement or email regarding a QR code if you wish to give some money in lieu of bringing pop cans. At this point in time, I'm going to call on Eric Seifert to do the raffle. Could be Eric, you want to start it out? You're going to keep all the money today, huh? Okay. $083? $5 for 083. He's looking at it the third time here to make sure his like, okay. 992 for $5. We got over on the other side. For those of you that are not familiar with our club's activities, this money is primarily going to, partly going to the Rotary International for the Polio Plus program. 171. 171. Okay. Walter. $993. Uh-oh. As he slowly walks over. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, Eric. Great day over there, Bill. And thank you for everybody for your attendance today. This has to be one of the largest groups that we've had in a very long time. Our program next week will be an update from our DEI committee. And at this point in time, would we please stand to recite the four-way test? Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and good friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you very much. Be careful on your ride home, and we're adjourned.